There's some maybe gift. You're only for you.
This is for you. I didn't get one, so it's special.
That's for you. You're special.
Gee, I hope not.
Just Are you going to Wednesday? Tuesday. The conference Wednesday is the conference. Are you going to what? Tuesday. You must have it. Okay, so then we then who else? She's thinking about different. Are you going to the Wednesdays and the AEC? You're not you're not going to Wednesday. You go Thursday, right?
I'm coming Wednesday night.
Yeah, the Thursday.
I'm not attending the.
Okay.
So I'm attending, and then plus we have, I'm sure we're gonna have your and let those two people, whoever they are, sign up for that.
Okay.
I think those guys need to come Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday?
The people who are attending seminars on Wednesday.
The board will now reconvene to open session and report out from the closed session. Agenda item number 3 regarding recommended expulsions, Education Code section 48,900. May I have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation and expel student number 1 through 3?
You guys.
So
I move.
moved.
I'm second.
Discussion, please. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Regarding agenda item number 3.2, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, Superintendent's Evaluation, Government Code Section 54,957, there is nothing to report. Regarding item number 3.3, Public Employee Discipline, Dismissal Release, Government Code Section 54,957, there is nothing to report. Regarding item number 3.4, updates on negotiations with the New Haven Unified School District bargaining units, conference with legal counsel, Government Code Section 3549.1, there is nothing to report. Agenda item procedural items, number 4, Pledge of Allegiance. Students, can you please lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item number 4.2, roll call please. Board of Education.
Here.
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 Here. Agenda item number 4.3, approval of the agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve tonight's board agenda?
So move.
I'm a second.
Roll call please.
Aye.
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 Aye. Agenda item number 5, information items. 5.1, district-wide comprehensive energy project, CEP analysis, Nat Heldman.
Good evening, Superintendent Smith and members of the board. In 2015, in response to the state Prop 39 initiative, the district conducted a district-wide audit on energy savings project, including lighting and HVAC systems and anything that could be bundled into those things. As you know, we've done other energy savings projects district-wide, most notably the solar project. And in this presentation, this board item is to present where we are in terms of the HVAC upgrade that we are proposing to be embarking on in the next few months. We have with us tonight Tim Holmes, a representative from Kenwood Energy, the same consulting firm that assisted us with the solar project, to be making this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Tim Holmes with Kenwood Energy. We are an energy consulting company. Our goal is to work with folks like you. We work with a lot of public agencies. We don't have any affiliations with products or contractors. Our goal is to help our customers make the best decisions possible related to energy use and energy cost. As Annette said, I've been working with the district for a few years now and started with the solar project, but it's been a few years since I've been in front of the board. We have a presentation that hopefully is opening now. We're here to talk about the comprehensive energy project. And in general, a comprehensive energy project is one where we try to, well, everyone's heard the term low-hanging fruit. This is a project where we try to get all of the fruit off the tree, not just the low-hanging fruit. That's the comprehensive part of it. So we're trying to find energy savings that can help pay for capital improvement type projects. So if we go, do I have a controller or do you? Okay. So the district has Measure M bonds that were also used for the solar project. And that's one of the tools we are going to use for the comprehensive energy project. Plus, there's Government Code 4217, which, you know, back in the 80s when energy lighting was really inefficient, there used to be lighting projects that would have a 1-year payback, but it would take 2 years to go through a request for proposal process. So they created this government code so that nonprofit agencies can get into contract quicker with companies that can do these types of projects so that you can get your savings quicker. So what government code says is it applies to school districts and all public agencies. It applies to energy efficiency and renewable energy projects. So you can't just repave a parking lot or something under 4217. It allows you to finance the projects through other mechanisms besides bond funds if you should so choose. And it requires that the cost be less than the savings. In other words, that in the life of whatever projects you are doing and you put together in this comprehensive project, your energy savings are going to pay for them over 15 years or whatever the life of those projects are. And then the last thing is it allows us, again, to speed up the process, is we can select a company based on their qualifications as opposed to just low bids. So that's what 4217 allows us to do. And it's also something that we always recommend that your legal representation takes a look at and makes sure that it fits your codes as well. And so a comprehensive energy project, there are basically, you know, 3 ways to approach this. Is we could go after low-hanging fruit and we could create a project where the energy savings are greater than the cost of implementing the project, and you actually create a positive net present value for the district, which means that you take funds that you would have spent on energy and now you can use them for something else. We can have a neutral project where those funds essentially equal each other, so the savings pay for the project. Or you could have a project where once you have the savings paying for the project, you actually identify a few additional capital improvement projects that might be necessary because equipment's at the end of its life and you want to do those projects anyway. And here's a picture of some of the equipment at the district. And you can see that, you know, that HVAC equipment there is rusty and very, very old. and you have lighting that doesn't have lenses on the covers, and also they're very inefficient, and you can have much more efficient lighting and HVAC system. Now, in general, lighting, there are great efficiency improvements that you can make in lighting. With HVAC equipment, the efficiency improvements are fairly nominal, and the cost of the equipment is very, very high. So if you were to try to just do a piece of HVAC equipment, it's probably not going to pay for itself, and it won't fit under Government Code 4217. So you have to do a lot of lighting and a relatively modest amount of HVAC to meet those requirements of the code. So where we are is, as Annette said, there was an audit done by CPM, paid for by Proposition 39 funds back in 2015. In July, we released a request for qualifications. We got 3 proposals, or 3 statements of qualifications. They weren't proposals. They included some cost items, but again, this is not based on cost. This is based on qualifications of the vendor that we would select. And we interviewed all 3 of them, and we selected Sizerco to move forward to the next step. And the next step is a letter of intent. And the letter of intent, we anticipate bringing that to the next board meeting for approval for signature. And a letter of intent is a non-binding agreement, technically, a non-binding agreement. And the objectives of the letter of intent that we have put in there is that we want to maximize the replacement of HVAC equipment, because there's a lot of stuff that you guys have that's past the expected useful life. There are probably close to 100 pieces of equipment out there that are more than 20 years old, or more than 15 years old, maybe even 20. The project has to pay for itself, and it has to meet all the requirements of Government Code 4217. And then in addition, so in signing the letter of intent, Sizerco is going to commit to some stuff, and the district's going to commit to some things. So Sizerco is going to, essentially, they're going to redo that energy audit that was done by CPM in 2015, and they're going to update it. Technologies have changed, so we want to update some of the recommendations and potentially expand the replacement of equipment, hopefully get more savings so we can do more HVAC work. They are going to develop cost and savings projections, and the costs are going to be the actual build costs. So we're going to know what those costs are going to be when they're done with that audit. They're going to present a financial pro forma. So again, we have to show that the savings are going to pay for the costs. And you know, we'll do our due diligence to make sure that they're not overestimating savings and that it's going to meet all the requirements of the district. And then once they present that project, they'll work with staff to finalize it. So staff will have the opportunity to say, you know, take this off the table, put that on the table, have you considered this? And there will be a process of finalizing it, which will probably be quite extensive and fairly long process to finalize the comprehensive energy project. What the district is committing to is that if Sizerco cannot create a project that meets the conditions, then the district has no commitment and there's no costs associated with it. If Sizerco can create a project, then the district is agreeing to move forward with that project. And off the top of my head, I'm thinking that that's a $5 million to $10 million project that in theory is going to pay for itself with energy savings. So it's a pretty significant project. And then there's a third option, is if Sizerco finds a project that pays for itself, meets the requirements, and the district for whatever reason decides that they don't want to move forward with Sizerco or they don't want to do the project, there's an exit fee, and that fee can be somewhere $50,000 or something. And that fee is to pay for Sizerco's efforts in developing the comprehensive energy project. You know, as I said, the LOI is a non-binding agreement. Essentially, you could walk away from it, but kind of as a gentleman's agreement, I wouldn't expect any of you to want to do that, or Sizerco to want to walk away from the agreement either. I think that at this point in signing it, you are committing to, in all, excuse me, in all likelihood, they are going to find a very nice project here to implement, and by signing the LOI, you're essentially agreeing to Sizerco implementing the project. That would be what I would expect to happen. And then, so the next steps, after the LOI is signed, Sizerco will complete the comprehensive energy audit. They'll finalize the scope of the object. They'll present it to staff for review, and through working with staff, they'll finalize the project. There is a public hearing required from Government Code 4217, which can be part of your normal board meeting. You just have to have the notifications out there in times so that you know, you meet the requirements of the code. And at that point, we will be coming back to the board with the comprehensive energy project and an agreement that's been negotiated for signature. Now, obviously, if you guys would like us to come back and talk about the project and then come back with the agreement, you know, we can do it that way as well. And then there's project planning and implementation, and that's going to be the construction, which will likely take 12 to 18 months to complete the project. And that is everything I have.
Any questions?
I do. Can you talk a little bit about the, what were some issues, I didn't see it outlined or talked about tonight, what were some issues with the August 2015 audit? I know that you'd mentioned something about, you know, the technology changing a little bit, but, you know, that audit was only 3 years ago, and I'm just wondering, like, were there other issues that would require us to do another audit?
There weren't really issues with audit. The audit was reasonably well done. At the time, the district, the CPM audit was done, and Kenwood Energy did a solar photovoltaic audit, and both of those were presented to the district for consideration. The district decided to go with the solar audit first. So it wasn't the audit that had a problem. It was just that the district chose one direction for the time being and was going to circle back to the comprehensive audit when it was time. The technologies that have changed is, if you look at that audit, it recommends a lot of exterior lighting, but doesn't recommend much interior lighting, because 3 years ago, LED interior lighting was not quite there yet. And in 3 years, it's come a long way, and interior LED lighting is a cost-effective retrofit and can reduce energy costs quite a bit. So I'd expect there to be a lot of interior lighting that wasn't there. But everything else in that audit, look, you know, are things that we could very well see in the...
In terms of objective standards for luminescence, for example, how many lumens an LED or an incandescent or a fluorescent puts out, are you guys using the same standards across the board?
Yeah, it's the IES standards, Luminance Engineers Society, I think is what it is.
Okay.
They have standards for classrooms, and I don't remember what they are off the top of my head, but we'll make sure that those standards are met.
Okay. No further questions.
Any other questions?
You mentioned a cost estimate. So were the school sites looked at, and did we specifically see what changes would be made, or how did the cost estimate come to be?
It came from the CPM audit, had a recommendation of about $9 million worth of retrofits. I think some of those we take off the table and hopefully put some more back on the table, just because as we move forward, we'll find things that are more suited to you. You know, the CPM audit, it was a preliminary, and it didn't get through the process of being discussed and developed and finalized. And that's the process. So Sizerco will redo that audit. Then we'll go through the process of discussing what those retrofits are. We'll start evaluating maintenance issues that you have and pieces of equipment that we want to target. You know, that process wasn't part of just the CPM audit. You're welcome.
Any other question? Linda?
Yeah, I'm looking at the page under public content. I don't see what funds is being used for this one. Is this facilities funds or measure?
It's from the Measure and Bond Fund as part of the deferred maintenance line item.
Okay, thank you.
That's it? No question? Okay. Thank you so much for presenting, and this is information item only, and there is no action need to be taken. Oh, we could have put it from the items from the board and superintendent. You should have get to say. Board member, student board member?
Logan is beginning its flu campaign. That's also partnering along with the new program. We're trying to just Jumpstart, which is Cult Health, and there's more to come in that. We're just in the early stages of planning it. We have our annual CATA conference coming up this Monday, where leadership classes across the Bay Area come to Logan. Many seniors are receiving their college help for their college applications, focusing on CSU and UC deadlines. Specifically, I'm trying to focus on personalized learning inside and outside the classroom, as we went over on our first guiding coalition of the year. And with that, I decided to take it upon myself to join the, sorry, it's not coming to my mind right now, but we're working on personalized learning inside and outside the classrooms, and I'll be the first student to have the voice to voice their opinions in that committee. I can't think of the name at the moment. And just a quick kind of informational topic. One of the Logan's 2018 alumni is featured in an Am City International calendar from, she's photographed from our walkout last year against gun violence. So
That's it?
that's all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Member Nishira?
Yes, a few meetings ago, I forgot which one it was, I asked for object codes. The board asked for object codes 5100, 5500, and 5800 as a data dump. And I was hoping to have an analysis at least like able to review by the budget workshop that we had a few weeks ago. And I wasn't able to get it done. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to maybe have a little bit more data to grind on. So I'd ask the board to see if that was for the unaudited actuals for 2017, 2018. I'd love to get the same identical dump for year to date. So that way the numbers that we do analysis on are we have a year-to-date view of that as well. So if it's the pleasure of the board, I'd request to direct staff to have an identical dump for those object codes.
May I ask Annette if you have anything to address this? Yeah, sure.
Good evening once again. Two of your questions actually are related to each other. The one that talks about the funding source and the one that talks about the object code. What the report or the file that was sent, what we call the data dump, is actually, how do I explain this? It's not a report, but it resides in the purchasing module of the financial system, which is why it does not have funding source information, but it has everything else based on a vendor. It's a vendor report. To be able to get the corresponding object or funding source, it will have to be a fiscal report. So the limitation that we are having right now is that there isn't one single report that has all of that information, because one sits in the fiscal module of the financial system, and the other pieces sit in the purchasing module or the vendor module of the financial system. However, we did send a ticket to the county just to see if maybe they can customize something for us, or maybe there's a canned report that we just haven't discovered yet. So there's still hope if we find something that actually has all of those fields in the same report.
That would be really appreciated.
I hope that helps.
And then one more question while you have up here. Can you just remind the board what is the invoice threshold that requires board approval versus ones where staff has discretion to approve without? Just so I understand that.
Now, there's two different things. For any contracts, every single contract requires board approval according to public contract code. Now, there is a little threshold in which staff is designated the authority to actually approve it, but you still, as the board, will have to approve it by way of ratification. Now, that's for contract. Everything else for goods and services, that's not the same requirement. That requirement is on contracts and services.
Okay, thank you.
So do you still need to have that, or wait until the?
Yeah, if it's not an undue burden to staff, that would help us in some of the analysis, I think.
Okay, how about other board members? Would like to support that? But Member Nishihira is asking about.
It sounds like Annette's already requested that.
I think so. I think we should wait.
It's just an extension of the scope. Before it was unaudited actuals 2017-18, and the additional scope here is just year-to-date.
Yeah.
It should be a similar report.
It's just cleaner, and you see everything. Transparent. You could see what
Okay,
object is
so
being
should we
used.
wait until Annette gets that report, and then, if we are not satisfied, then we can have the
I
request
just think
again?
we just need to direct staff to do it. I think that's all. We just have to just determine whether or not it's going to be undue
So,
burden.
any other board members, they want to have your say in that?
So I just want to clarify, we already sent a ticket to the county because they actually manage our financial system to see if they can either direct us to a report that already exists that has all of those fields, or if they can customize something for us. Now, the answer could be no. And what that means is we will have to pull multiple reports just to give all the fields that we are requesting.
Okay.
Is it possible just to share the same report that was given to the county after they responded to you?
Sure, depending on that response, and I would be able
What's-
to provide
what's-
more information.
What's the timeline on, between when you sent it and the response time?
If it's something that they know right away, I mean, they're very, 24 hours, we would hear back from them. But if the answer is such that, we will need to take a look into it, we might have to develop something or all of that, then it will take some time. But
the
my
question-
hope is that they're actually something that exists, because there's actually a lot of canned reports in the financial system that we use. And hopefully there's something already, and they can just say, oh, you should use this, or something like that.
So is the board, I guess the question is the board okay with going through and using the county's timeline when they get, so they don't do extra?
Yeah, that's all I'm asking.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
fine with me.
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Any other?
And then, threshold. And then one of the things that I think we made a lot of really good headways on, and I'd like to, with the Director of Technology, with his departure, just want to make sure that we keep up the work that we started with kind of getting to the data regarding declining enrollment. Just want to keep that front and center. And then one of the things that we also talked about in a couple meetings ago was how do we engage even the real estate, the real estate interest group to educate them on ways to interpret data that they get in a little bit more effective way. So
Okay.
I just want to bubble that up as something that we talked about. Just want to make sure that it doesn't fall off the radar.
Point noted.
Yep. That's
Thank you.
that's all I had.
Thank you. Ms. Callas?
Yes. I would like to, first of all, thank every principal and the people who worked with the single site plans. They look good. We looked at them with a fine-tooth comb. The format is good. This is the Bible, fellow board members, that they follow throughout the year, and it shows the goals and where the funds are being designated to. So they look really good. Parity looked good. I'm sure you were probably dreaming and talking about this in your dreams. I know, I've done this. The only thing is I've seen the growth, projected growth between 5% to 20%. And I think, in my own judgment, not the board, 5% is reasonable. The 20 looks a little bit high, but maybe you have special tricks that you are planning to do, especially for alternative schools that have different criteria. So 20% might be doable. I look forward to those scores. I think I'll be excited if I see 20% growth. But 5% is fine, 20% is even better. So thank you for doing such a good job in the single site plans, because I know, and the last ones there was time when I pulled that out because of some things that we needed to look at, but this time they look really good, so thank you. Also, I would like to compliment Ms. Kaur for doing such a great job at the Sikh Awareness event at the city. We attended that one, and it's so informative. It allows us to learn more about other people so we could work better harmoniously, so thank you for that. And I think the staff is also looking at what we have for Sikh curriculum. It is already there. We did check that the state already has it there.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of implementing it and see what's happening in the classroom. So that's happening. I'd also like to thank PASE for putting the event at IVC for the Filipino Historical Month. and the students who were performing and actually emceed the whole show or the whole program. So I'm really proud of our former students and students who perform at that event. So thank you. CSBA is on November 29th to 1st, 28th for some of us. I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about what we do. And our next board meeting is not until December 11th. I too would like to echo that we should continue to look at our attendance to increase, let's face it, we increase our fundings because as Ms. Heldman shared with us that an increase of 1% in our attendance equals 1 million. So I'm asking everyone to help us, parents, everyone, to get the students at school because every penny matters. And I also like to echo the marketing topic that we've been talking about and how we need to educate the community, especially realtors, regarding what is happening, good things that are happening in our schools so that they make sure that they don't send our students that live in Union City to other cities in the neighboring cities because those kids are ours and we have great schools. They need to know that. And with that, thank you.
Thank you. Member Jeff?
Okay, and I just adding a couple of things, and Linda has mentioned, and next meeting will be the December 11th. And first of all, I want to express myself and all the teachers in the school district and the staff working for the school district, and happy Thanksgiving. And you guys did such a good job. Without you guys, and we cannot run the school. And I will say thank you, and don't forget. The second thing, and we will have after Thanksgiving, we will have the CBSA, the conference, and yeah, we will learn more, and we try to get more information from other school district and learning more things, the better to service the community. Yeah, November, and November is it's also this week, actually, is the International Education Week, and so we want to make sure and our school district will prepare for everybody, every student to get ready, the more compatible and in the future for the global increasing the economics. What else we missing? I think that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Would you like to share that you are interested in running for the CSVA delegate?
Oh yes, and yes, and it's called. Let me see. Yes, the CSBA Delegate Assembly, and this is another the organizations and help the school board members and to the audit and monitor the policy for the state, how it works. And so January, they will have a new election for the delegates and assembly. And I think all the school districts, they should send some candidates. We need number one with branding our school district name. Mm-hmm. The number two, our school district more involved, and there is 21 regions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so for I checked for the last 6 years, 8 years, we don't have any representative from our school district. Yeah. I think at this time I want to ask the board, and yeah, we should have someone to represent our school district. Yeah.
Are you planning to do that?
Okay. Yes, I can do that. Yeah.
He plans to run for that, and he's asking the board if we're willing to support him in his endeavor.
Of course, and if you guys can support it, yes, I can do that. Yeah.
Do you have any? Do you want to?
No objectives.
No objectives.
No objections.
No objections. Okay.
Well, how many people could apply for it?
As many as people would like to. I mean, 5 of us can do it, but then
I think
there's totally
there's 21 people, and for the several schools. I mean, for the Alameda and Contra Costa.
Contra Costa, yeah.
Yes.
I remember.
So you need 21 members from both county combined?
Yes.
And we have, let's see, we have, just in Alameda, we have 22 districts that we're serving. So if that's
We have
county?
18, we have 18 Alameda County, but all school boards, they don't send the candidate. So some school districts, like for example Fremont, because of their size, they already have one seat there. But others, they have to go through the elections. So once he sends his nomination papers, then he will be a candidate. Remember, we have to vote for him.
Right.
So then if he gets elected, then he will be serving as a delegate.
My question is, how many candidates from one district could apply for the space?
I think we can, two.
Two for
Yeah.
one space or two for?
Two for two
Two for the
spaces.
entire space?
Two for
Up
entire,
For the,
yeah.
2 out of the 21?
Right.
Okay, so.
Are you
could-
interested, Linda?
Well, I've not decided yet, because the deadline is January 7th, I
Right.
think. So
Yeah.
I just contemplating, I've not read the details yet, so I don't know. I
Would you
might, but
support
I've
Jeff?
if they requires 2, I mean, they allow 2, I might, but I've not decided yet. Because I need to read the details still, and I want to go after the CSVA meeting, because I
Okay.
need to know the responsibilities and so on, because I want to make sure, I want to do a good job if I apply for it, and I don't want to decide just by saying I want to do it. I want to know what it entails.
Member Carr, did you have any comments?
Well, I commend Jeff for wanting to do that, because I think we can certainly use more representation for our district. And I
Yes.
thought didn't you put in your name last year too?
Last year,
Was
a
there-
little bit too late.
Yeah, I think it was a
He
little bit
was
too
thinking
late.
about it, but it was too late.
Yeah, and I know
Yeah.
we supported you then at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
if
Yeah.
it's 2 members that are wanting to and both can be elected, hey, more power for us, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we can use the representation
Right.
for our district. So I
That's
have no
fine.
issues Jeff wanting to
Yeah.
Yeah, we
step
can
up.
talk about in December 7th. We have time.
Well, that's why I was asking, because I don't want to commit unless I know the details. And if it's only one, and Jeff already said he's going to do it,
No,
I'll
I'm sure
definitely support him.
you can
So,
run it. It's okay if you
If it
want
is
to.
2, then,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Right,
right.
right.
So, if Jeff needs, I'm up for that also. Okay, Jeff?
Okay.
I'm supporting that. So let's send him, and if he needs any kind of help, you just, okay. I have to do it. Okay, I will do it, Jeff.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you, thank you. Any other comments?
That's it.
That's it. Member Cora?
Yeah, since we were talking about or being in the holiday spirit, I think we just had Veterans Day. So happy Veterans Day to all the men and women that served. I know we have a lot of our teachers who, may have been served the armed forces in the past. I know we certainly have a member here who should be thanking. So thank you, Lance Nishihira, for your service. And I want to congratulate our 2 members, Linda Canlis and Sarabjit Chima, on their re-election. Winning the re-election. You guys put a good fight, so congratulations to both of you, and looking forward to serving with you guys for another at least 2 years for us, but 4 years for you guys. And as Member Canlis alluded to, we had a really successful Sikh Awareness and Appreciation Month. November is actually designated for that event. It was a very successful event. We had our superintendent, our principals were there. We had a lot of our teachers and a lot of our students showed up. So I think it was one of a kind event that we were able to pull off in Union City. It's something that has never been done before. And it's all about raising awareness. Union City is such a diverse community, and unless we get out of our comfort zones and get to know one another, being in a diverse community really doesn't mean anything. So I think part of that, we took it a step further. Instead of just passing resolution, instead of just doing proclamations at the city level, we wanted to do a more tangible project. So I think out of the kickoff event that we held on October 30th, we actually have 3 exhibitions or galleries that are across Union City right now, and they're staying there for the whole month of November. And it's, again, if 2 people can pass by and, can spark an interest, or if they can, pick up something that they didn't know before, mission accomplished. So those 3 locations that I refer to are the Union City Library, which will go on until the 28th. We couldn't get it for the whole month of November, but we got 3 weeks. That's more than enough. And the Mark Green Sports Center, we have the 2 wall spaces where there are images of Sikhs from all faiths, Sikhs from all walks of life. Talking about military, talking about our students. So we try to hone in to our local as much as possible. So you may even see some of your students or teachers on those walls. And the third location is the Union City City Hall. And that's more of an exclusive exhibit because we were able to tap into an individual who had a lot of the collectibles from the early 1900s, 1800s. So a lot of the pieces that are in that display have never been shown before. So it's a lot of new information, a lot of new learning for us. But it's a great way for us to bring out the history that a lot of us haven't seen and are learning along the way. So I would really encourage, the youth, the students, the teachers, and the community just in general to go out and take a look at these and give us their feedback. Again, it was just to kind of go up a step from just passing a resolution, just doing activities here and there, but doing it on a bigger scale so people can really understand and learn about other cultures. And during that event, we had a keynote speaker who happens to be a national speech and debate tournament winner from 2017. And other than his qualifications, what really attracted me was that he recognized James Logan High School. He goes to Stanford now. He's from Iowa. Who from Iowa knows James Logan High School? And he's a national champion. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember competing, with the James Logan High School forensic students. So, I think going back to what you guys had mentioned, we have a lot of great programs. A lot of people know about us. It's a matter of just tapping in and really highlighting that within our communities and within our local businesses. So I just wanted to pass that because when I heard that, it made me really beam. I was so excited. Lastly, during our last board meeting, we had passed a resolution for Bay Area Stands United Against Hate. There is a rally that's coming up in Union City. It's on Monday, November 19th. It's happening at the Union City Library, and it's going to be at from 6 o'clock to 7 p.m. So again, putting those resolutions into actions, right? So we all support that. We all are against hate in our community. So I think it's really an opportunity, again, for the community to come out and really support and actually stand behind what we say and what we preach and what we support and pass. So I would really encourage, all of you guys to come out, especially students, come out, support, and then just kind of be around different ethnic groups. That's all I have.
Ms.
So I
Court,
hope I see you guys there.
Can I just add, I think our district participated in the one in Oakland on the 11th
Okay.
as well. So, because I think Tracy Noriega, I think, represented us and other people
That's great.
on the same thing.
Yeah, that's really great. And I think it's happening across a lot of the cities. So we just want to make sure that we're not missing out on this opportunity and we're supporting that resolution as well.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. For me, I'm glad that elections are over.
Okay. Congratulations.
And then community has made the choices, right choices, let's put it this way. And I also appreciate the challenges because all that whole exercise have given me the opportunity to work with the community. Otherwise, I could have, just be lazy. So it is a renewed passion for my job here. So I take it seriously. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the partnerships we build. And wonderful. Now, because the results are behind us, we have to work collaboratively to move our students forward. So being a board member, we have to attend many community events so that we work collaboratively with the community, with the city side, and all other stakeholders and partners. In that light, so I will mention that I was able to attend some of the events in the community. Thank you so much, Sharon, mentioning about the Sikh Awareness Month. We have a resolution, and I know there are some speakers there waiting for to speak. But I will mention that on November 8th, I was able to attend the General Plan Advisory Committee with the city for their environmental impact report scoping. There was a general public review meeting, so I gave my input in that meeting. And being a former member on that from the board side, so it was always in my interest list. Also, on November 1st, I attended the Union City Police Department's celebration here at the Performing Arts Center. They recognized the newly hired cadets and the police officers, some promotions and some retirements. Wonderful event. On October 26th, I attended Pioneer Trunk or Treat event. Wonderful event. It was my first time at the Pioneer. We are the future grandparents at the Pioneer School, so it was a wonderful event, and community and staff, they did a wonderful job. October 20th, actually, Diamonds in the Education Gala. We attended that. That was after the last board meeting, so it was not mentioned before. And thank you for inviting us for the Filipino Awareness Month and the IBC School. It was a wonderful event, another one. So last weekend, I attended the event in Fremont, which was the Waking in Oak Creek. It's a movie, documentary, and it has been, there are different events in Bay Area, in Berkeley, and Dublin next week, so that it's just about the Sikh Awareness Month, and wonderful United Against the Hate Week. We already had the resolution last month. So this week we are actually putting our resolutions into action, like Sharon has mentioned. That's it for me, for my report. Dr. Smith?
Yeah, just a couple of things. It's already been mentioned, United Against Hate. Every school is to be engaged in activities this week, not just rallies, but in the classroom, having conversations about different kinds of hate and how we ward that off. It's no secret we've been dealing with some difficult issues on our campuses, and our students need to be kind to one another, but we need to model that. And so with Thanksgiving coming, I'm asking everyone here, and I'm happy to see so many people here tonight, I'm asking everybody just to stop and reflect on what binds us together. What are those things we have in common as human beings? And to just get the noise out of the system. It's okay to disagree, but when we had Guiding Coalition the other morning, and I asked people just stand up and shake somebody's hand who you haven't seen. It was the morning after the latest lunatic went wacko and innocent people, and we're seeing that more and more. But we can be different and we can be better. So I ask you just throughout this week, before we leave for vacation, just stop long enough, speak to somebody, talk to somebody, shake their hands, and listen to them. And the last thing I want to say is one of our former colleagues lost her home in the fire in Paradise, and Terry Grunwald has a website. Renee Henderson lost her home, and she wasn't the only one. The whole town was pretty much wiped out. But if you are so moved, you can go to Terry's, there's a GoFundMe page, and it's called Help a Paradise California School Principal. You know, Renee used to teach here. But contact Terry if you want to help out, and any other ways that we can. Another person who, I don't know if she's here, but Taya Barker there's Taya in the back from Kitayama. She has some information. But again, just looking out for each other. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to make a difference. When people come at each other, the good people have to stand together. And so I just ask that you slow down long enough to care. And with that, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Next agenda item, number 6, recognition, presentation, and or action. Recognition of K-5 science specialist, Lisa Messinger.
Hi, good evening, members of the board, President Chima, Superintendent Smith. I am thrilled tonight to honor our elementary science specialists. These women are really pioneers in the work of implementing next-gen science standards. A couple years ago, Vicki Baker, who's in the audience, our former program specialist for STEM and next-gen science standards, posed a challenge to these ladies, not only to bring next-gen science standards, but really to rethink how we teach science in a more personalized 21st century way. And these women rose to the challenge. We have a strong belief that in order to provide equitable opportunities for all of our students, they all need to be exposed to coding, robotics, engineering from the jump. And that means starting in kindergarten. And so these women who had no experience, most of them, with coding, learned how to code, learned robotics, and learned it for their students. And some of these women have been here for a while. I'm going to be gentle. And it's not, as someone who's been here for over 30 years, it's not easy to change.
It's not easy, yes.
And they rose to the challenge, and I just can't tell you how proud I am of them. And I tell them this every time I see them. And so I want to ask them to come forward, and then we're going to show a video clip. But from, I don't know if Cheryl's here, from Alvarado Elementary School, Cheryl Bartlett. Oh, there she is. Woohoo! From Easton, Lisa Duncanson. From Emmanuel, Angelica Canales. From Hillview Crest, and I haven't seen Carrie McGoldrick. From Kitayama, our District Teacher of the Year, LaGreta Banks. From Pioneer, Rodana Breen. From Cyril's, Carol Siegel. And their fearless leader from Mitleon, Veracruz, Vicki Baker. And so now I'm going to ask them all to sit down again because Kim Clint put together a remarkable video
Before
of
they
their
sit
work.
down, can we have them come here and take their
Come
picture?
forward, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to bring them up again, but ladies, come on forward. Woo!
Just stand like this so we can take your pictures. We're great to take your pictures.
Let's watch the
Just
video.
stand like together. Face this way.
Yeah.
Face this way. Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Okay, look at me.
There we go.
Okay. Everybody look at me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, come out a little
Oh,
bit.
Miss Banks, we need to see you.
No, we
Okay.
should do it other way around when we stand with them also.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Congratulations
thank you.
again.
Stay here. Stay here,
here.
please.
Stay there, please. Let John get the picture.
Yes, stand up. Stand up.
Get the board to stand up.
Yes. Stand up.
All right.
Promise not to put bunny in.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will forward to
Thanks.
And now we're going to show a short video so you can see them and their students in action and the
Thank you.
amazing teaching that they do every day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Makes you want to dance.
Back in September, all of a sudden they were ready to try not just engineering, but also the robotics and all the other things that were being asked of them.
I didn't even know what coding was a few years back, and now I'm teaching coding. I've had a couple of students who are autistic who have really connected to coding. So they're happy.
I noticed that you were moving. I love science and how we get to like do different things every time we're in science class. I love that. And I look at their ideas.
What is that?
And then you can get all the way on up to JavaScript. But I don't know what to do. So we have to program our robot so that it knows what's going on. I'm on the finish, right? Really good.
Need to make sure that we're bringing in these opportunities to all students, every demographic, because this is going to be the major part of the job market that we're going to be in. In terms of coding and robotics especially, we have to level the playing field for kids.
But I walked away thinking, okay, I know that every single student in elementary school in this district is going to learn how to do some programming and is going to learn how to program robots and use them. In their classrooms, they have at least 3 types of robots, and in addition to that, some new programming type games. And that they have to be kind of experts in all of those things.
So again, I just want to thank you ladies from the bottom of my heart. It's amazing work. And our kids are going to be able to get a job anywhere in Silicon Valley and live in Silicon Valley because of their hard work. So again, thank you. And I don't know if any of you have any questions or comments for,
Would you like to have any?
come on up, ladies.
In the interest of time.
Yes, you have to come up
Thank you.
again.
Oh, I just wanted to thank you all for your. I just wanted to thank you all for your dedication, your support of your students, because it's not something easy to teach. So just thank you for trying to learn something new and trying to teach that and broaden your students' knowledge of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for all the great work that you do. It's definitely not natural and not second nature. But I did want to actually speak a little bit towards the video. The video is fantastic. That if anybody actually saw a video like that, I think that anybody would say, I want my kids to go to that school. So one of the things that we need to do is figure out how do we actually take the great things that we're doing in our district, in the classroom, in our co-curriculars, and throughout all the things that we're doing in our district, and how do we let the world know that we're doing it. Keep up the great work. I'm really proud to be part of this district.
Linda?
Yes, I want to thank you again. I'm sure it's not going to be enough for us to be just saying thank you, but thank you for what you've done. I know it's not easy to add something else or have something else replacing something else to make sure this happens. Especially when you've been in the classroom for a long time, you have a way of what you want to do, and then this is something new, and we need to relearn things and reconfigure things so that we will be up to the challenge of the 21st century learning. So thank you so much for taking that leap to make sure that our students are up to the 21st century. And I'm also going to repeat this to Ignacium regarding showing off our teachers and our students to the rest of the community, because the rest of the world and cities around us need to know what we do so that we could get those kids to enroll at our schools. And again, like Mr. Nishara mentioned, that I could tell our kids, Miss, what happened to her? I was going to compliment, there she is, mixing her, that our kids would be ready to work in Silicon Valley because of what you've done for them. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Member Wang, did you want to say something?
Oh, I just want to repeat it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and that's all.
Thank you, Member Carr.
Yeah, can you guys share that video with us so we can actually flaunt that around? And I just want to say woman power, because I've taken coding in college. I would probably be, one of 5 women or girls in that school. So I think to have you guys as role models, it's incredible. So that in and of it speaks volumes. So thank you for all that you do.
Year of the Woman.
For me, thank you so much for your hard work and instilling the love for technology and the robotics. And may I please ask you guys to come up so that we can shake hands?
I would like to thank each of you, but most important, I'd like to thank Lisa. Lisa was the brainchild of all of this, and with Lisa's guidance and with Vicky's guidance, all of this came to fruition. So Lisa, thank you so very, very, very much. You have enriched all of us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good job. Thank you so much. Yes, and I see you. Thank you. Thank you so much. What a wonderful job. Thank you so much.
Okay. That's very cute video.
Okay. No, they changed that this time soon. Okay, thank you so much. For the next agenda item, we have. Oh, sorry, I would like to announce that we have changed the agenda a little bit this time because some of our staff members, they have to leave early. So for the public comments, they are going to be after the next agenda item. So, yeah, just the last item. Okay, agenda item 6.2, recognition of 15th anniversary of James Logan High School Ethnic Studies Department and the 50th anniversary of the San Francisco State Student-Led Strike. Lisa Messinger.
Yes. Again, members of the board, it is a real privilege tonight to have 2 phenomenal groups of teachers that we're honoring. This next group of teachers I'm going to turn over to Tracy Noriega so she can do them justice, but they have been doing phenomenal work in ethnic studies for over 15 years, and they have been leading the way, blazing the trail, not only for the state of California, but across the nation. And we are so proud of the work that they've been doing over the last 15 years, and really before that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tracy Noriega so she can share their story with you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Smith, President Chima. Thank you for having us today. As you know, my name is Tracy Noriega, Director of K-12 Instruction, but I also have the honor and privilege of leading our district's Ethics Studies Task Force. Tonight, I get to introduce to you amazing people that I am lucky and privileged to work with. Coming to this district to teach in 1996, I was really jealous because I took my first ethnic studies class in college at Sacramento State, and I thought if I had a class like this in high school, I wouldn't have gone through what we might call identity issues, trying to figure out who I was as a Filipino, Filipino-American, second generation, et cetera. But then moving here and finding out that James Logan High School had an ethnic studies department that had been teaching ethnic studies classes since the 70s, having a full-on department, meeting Oscar Peñaranda, Tina Bobadilla, Miss Dorothy Allen, Mr. Tommy Lindsay, I was just then very privileged to ensure that my own students, my own children, then had the opportunity to learn from them. This last Saturday, Ivan Santos, department head of James Logan High School Ethnic Studies Department, myself and his wife Erica Varai Santos of San Leandro High School were asked to be on a panel during the conference of the 50th anniversary of the Black Student Union Third World Liberation Front strike. And it was amazing to be able to share the stories of what's happening here in New Haven Unified School District, to, again, as Lisa mentioned, show the world how New Haven has been at the forefront and the pioneer of this work. Our teachers have been across the country to share what's been happening, and you know, I know that Ivan gets emails all the time about sharing what's happening with the department. The state of California, you know, they vetoed Assembly Bill 2772 to make ethnic studies a graduation requirement, but this district has had that in place since the mid-1990s. So with that, I want to turn it over to Ivan Santos so that he can share, to Tina Bobadilla Mastel to share some history with you, and then Ivan Santos will be up to share a little bit more.
Good evening. We have a PowerPoint, but I'm not quite sure how to pull it out. So just taking you back 50 years ago to the 1968 San Francisco State University student strike, which kind of paved the way for what we've done here in the district at James Logan High School with the establishment of the Ethnic Studies Department. Tracy touched on this a bit, so I just want to emphasize just the history part of it, because it's a history that many people, even in the Bay Area, don't know about. So in 1968 and 1969, the Black Student Union, together with the Third World Liberation Front, other staff, faculty, and members of the greater Bay Area community, organized and led a series of actions against systematic discrimination. Protesters spoke out against lack of access, misrepresentation, and the overall neglect of indigenous peoples and people of color within the university's curriculum and programs. Their specific demands included the establishment of courses to reflect and represent the varied perspectives and stories of the marginalized groups. And from that, what came out of that was the first Ethnic Studies Department at a public university in the United States. Now getting to our own history. At Logan, we started out as we were called the Multicultural Collaboration Group, and we created various activities, not just for our own classes, but for other classes throughout Logan to implement in their classes to celebrate the diversity of Logan. From that stemmed the Ethnic Studies Department, it was not an easy thing, I want to emphasize. When the department was approved and we became autonomous from the Social Science Department, it was not a unanimous decision. The Ethnic Studies Department at Logan was also a critical voice in the development of Conley Caraballo High School. Eventually, the group evolved into what is now the Multicultural Collaboration Coalition and has continued to expand efforts to reach other areas throughout the district. A multicultural U.S. history course has also been requested, but has been denied. And then even before that, I think it's really important to note there were roots at Logan even before the establishment of our department. And those roots go back to the teaching of Chicano studies and African American history by Danny Villa and Dorothy Allen. And Dorothy Allen is here, right over there. She's going to kill me. She hates me. But I really think it's important to remember the pioneers, not only in our district, but nationwide, really. And then in the 1990s, Asian American Studies and Filipino Heritage Studies were created and added to the department. And then, and that's when, after that founding, that's when the department was actually created. And for the past 15 years, the philosophy of our department is that students will be empowered as they understand and respect diverse peoples in the United States that have been discriminated against, unjustly treated, disenfranchised, and deceived, institutionally and legislatively, because of their race, ethnicity, or gender, and as a result have been neglected, minimized, and excluded from the grand narratives and histories of mainstream American society. Students will thereby become culturally and socially conscious individuals who contribute to the community.
Good evening. I'm Ivan Varai Santos, Department Chair of Ethnic Studies. And before I continue, I just want to make it known that back in 1994, I took my first Asian American Studies class with Tina Bobadilla. Yeah, right. And for the first time in my educational career back then, I finally started to really understand why I was in school, not any longer being that kid in the back of the class that really looked at history as, oh, well, that doesn't matter to me. These people don't look like me. They don't have my experience. And finally, when I took that Asian American Studies class, everything started to click. Right? A lot of the answers about, a lot of the answers that answered my questions that came out of that class, like why was my family here in the United States? Why was some of my family members treated the way they were, even though they served in the military, and things like that. It led me to actually become a product of the Ethnic Studies Department at not only here at James Logan, but also at San Francisco State, right? And one of the key objectives of creating the Ethnic Studies Department at San Francisco State is to provide a curriculum for folks of color, for the poor and working class, for disenfranchised people, to see themselves in the history and understand their struggles, and understand that through those struggles their communities had come together and still fought for that power, fought for the same privileges that we enjoy right now. And the number one thing that we hope to give our students here at James Logan is the same thing that they wanted way back in 1968, is to make sure that we grow our leaders in our community, so that those students go through our educational system, they go through the university and learn to see themselves as contributing members to the society and go back to their communities to be leaders. Right? And that brings us to our goals for our student outcomes. At James Logan High School, within the Ethnic Studies Department, we run all of our coursework current with our 3 I's, right? Our intellect is our analysis of the history and the experiences of folks of color, disenfranchised people, the LGBTQ, and the poor and working class in the United States. Look at the trials and tribulations they faced and understand how to connect that to their current situation here within our socio-political context. The integrity part is to really look at what we're going to be doing with that information, but the biggest part before we even get to integrity is to understand that we're interconnected, right? Our interconnectedness, understanding that our struggles are not ours alone, but they're ours within our communities, that we all go through them together, that we have common struggles, that there is a definite intersectionality within our identities and our experiences here in the United States. And going back to integrity, it's the idea that we all together as a community, hopefully in solidarity, will stand up and do the right thing when necessary. Right? And with regards to our social justice outcomes, it's to develop our culturally conscious individuals who will return to their communities and, like I said, become those leaders, whether they're educators, whether they become school board members, whether they serve on city council, or just be contributing members of our community. Right? And so over the past 15 years, our department has grown, right? We have Filipino heritage studies and issues in ethnic studies, African American history, African American issues, Asian American studies, ethnic women's studies, Latino issues in the United States, Mexican American heritage, multicultural literature, and LGBTQ studies was the newest class we've actually added to our department. And the funny thing is we have 5 more courses waiting in the wings that can be taught, right, if we had the number of students, if we had the funding, and giving us 15 courses in one department, again, the first in the nation, the only in the nation, right, the one in James Logan High School having, the first ethnic studies requirement, it puts us up there in the ranks of a whole lot of universities around us, right? We have that coursework. We have the dedicated, passionate teachers to teach these courses. And at the same time, we are nothing without the people who struggled before us, whose shoulders we actually stand on. Again, Miss Allen, our OG, our triple OG, definitely was there to start us off. Again, Ramon Camacho, Tommy Lindsay, Roxanne Muhammad, Lourdes Madrigal, Kenneth Pondo, Oscar Peñaranda, Linda Rodriguez, Megan Safford, Joe Ray Valle, Danny Villa, and Erica Varai Santos were all contributors, right? To the point where we right now stand in solidarity with a lot of other ethnic studies departments at the university level, as well as those school districts who are trying to create ethnic studies programs on their own. And our guiding principles are to create culturally relevant curriculum that's relevant and responsive to communities of color and their allies. Right? The key piece is their allies too, because we understand that when people think ethnic studies, everyone just thinks communities of color. But at the same time, the experiences and the history that we cover all Americans, right? And so we move on to personal and systemic analysis of power in the United States, using race as a social construct and how it manifests itself within our experiences here in the United States, right? We allow our students to have those conversations as to how they are impacted by race, whether it be within the institution or just outside in their communities. And in doing so, we're able to identify a lot of problems. We look at the root causes, but more importantly, we try to get the students to act responsibly and be real critical thinkers and practice self-reflection. In these situations that we see in our society today, the things that we're faced with, whether it be things like police brutality, whether it be poverty, sexism, all the different issues that we tackle in our classroom, we want them to be accountable, not only to themselves, but their classmates and their community, right? So that they all know that we're all works in progress. Even the teachers and the administrators that come in and speak to them, they're always reminding students that, hey, we're always still learning, right? We're all works in progress. And so before I move on, I do want to also commend not only the folks whose names I mentioned, but the people who are currently still doing this work that aren't necessarily in the department, right? Folks that are part of the Equity Council, right? People that are part of the Ethnic Studies Task Force. A lot of these conversations we have in these meetings are helping to drive our work further, right? We're trying to expand ethnic studies K through 12, and it's huge that in our second grade classes, our kids are talking about consent. Right? Think about what that's going to do as they go into middle school. Think about what they do as that they go into high school and having that foundation within their classrooms, right? Especially in these days and times. And so it definitely does take a community. It definitely does take a whole lot of love and respect, and I'm pointing towards our worldview because all of our classes, every single one of them, is grounded in these ideas. That love and respect, the hope, self-determination, and critical consciousness. So we hopefully are able to build that community. So I thank you all for honoring our department, the teachers that have come before us, and I hope you continue to value and respect our department as we move forward towards our goals of creating an Ethnic Studies Social Justice Academy. At the same time, know and understand that our work is nothing without you all supporting and valuing all of my colleagues behind us, all right? Because this work is everyone's work. It's not just a department's work. It's not just a task force work. This is all of us. Right? And the commitment to valuing teachers, my colleagues, and their families is a huge step into increasing our opportunities, not only for ourselves, but also for our students and their siblings as well. And so I do want to end with saying that within academia, a whole lot of success is about what you can show with regards to data. Right, test scores, percentages, success rates, and whatnot. But within ethnic studies and social justice, that's not really something you can measure in one test. It's not something you can measure in 2 or 3 years. A lot of the successes that we see come from what we hear from our students, what we see our students doing after they graduate, when they enter the real world. Right, to see if they really take what we've tried to teach them in our classes and make the right choices, not only for themselves, but their families and communities, right? And so we don't really teach the history and theory per se, but our curriculum hopes to inspire the youth to actually put social justice theory into practice, right? And we can't show that enough just by telling these stories, but we have a few students who in their academic career at James Logan High School, took multiple ethnic studies classes, and they have some stories to share with you, right? And so our biggest accomplishments, they can't be seen on paper, but their contributions to their communities, their college and university communities, as well as nationally and internationally, they're making an impact, and a whole lot of it stems from what they get from James Logan High School in our ethnic studies department. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the board members?
So the folks listed here are currently a part of our Ethnic Studies Department, and I'd like to bring them up now for you to recognize. You saw Ivan Varai-Santos, Tina Bobadilla, Miss Allen is here, Miss Manny Allen, and Miss Dorothy Allen. So if you can come up, please. Miss Hull, who's our House 2 principal that leads our Ethnic Studies Department.
Could they come up, please, so we could
Don't be shy.
embarrass them and take their pictures?
Is Mr. Ellison here? No?
Right here in front so we could see you. We could take your pictures, yeah.
Oh.
Ivan said it eloquently today that ethnic studies is a mindset. Come up, Miss Allen. Miss Allen. Ethnic studies is a mindset. It's not something you can shut on, turn off. And it's something that we live every day. And honestly, you know, the stories will tell you that it's changed lives. So I want to introduce our current department. And yes, as Ivan said, one of our triple OGs, Ms. Allen.
Please face Mr. Wang. He's taking a picture. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Any other comments?
We do in a minute. They're taking pictures.
Go, James Logan.
Did you want to make a comment? Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to add that I just value and appreciate all that you're doing for the department. As someone that sat in Miss Allen's class and Miss Escobar's class not too long ago, and to say that I was inspired enough, like, to try and pursue something that like sprouts from ethnic studies and sprouts from women's ethnic studies, just to know that I'm a byproduct of like knowing my power, and just knowledge is power, and just really inspire me to just kind of find out what I want to do in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Not much more to add, but I just wanted to thank everybody for all the work that you do. It's very important. Thank you.
Ms. Callas?
Yeah. Did Mr. Santos say that he was in Ms. Bobadilla's class before? He did. Okay. So, so he is a perfect example of the product of what you've done in the department, so that you have other people growing up to impact the rest of us. So thank you for what you do. And Mr. Santos, you also mentioned about the results of other students making impact in other people's lives. You are doing that right now. You're a perfect example of what is happening in that department. So thank you for doing that and being a role model for the other students. All of you are being role model for the other students. I do have questions. Oh, one more thing. Logan and Union City is always a pioneer on these things, and it's not happening in a lot of other high schools. It's happening in the universities, but not in many of the high schools around us. So good job for being a pioneer. I do have a question. On page 2 on history, you mentioned that you were proposing a multicultural history course, but it was denied. Is that history, or is that still happening?
We've actually started ethnic studies for U.S. history class. It's third year.
Oh, so okay, so it is happening now. Okay, very good. And then you mentioned there are 5 more courses you wanted to see, but we can't implement because we don't have the money yet, and we don't have the students yet. Which one is it, and what are they?
Both. Did you want me to come up?
Yeah, come on up, please.
So, Filipino literature and storytelling. We used to have a cultural math class. The Chicano literature. There's 2 more that I can't remember off the top of my head, and Miss Allen's gone. Yeah, but yeah, there's definitely 2 others. They're mostly VAPA courses that used to be part of the department, and at the same time, the literature courses are courses that students could use to make up English credits that they didn't get prior.
But could they be used as electives?
Yes, they definitely can. It's just with regards to student signups, lack of students, and things of that nature that have prevented us from actually having full classes as well.
And would they, if they were there, would they be acceptable as part of the A to G requirement? Yes. And could they be integrated? I mean, if we don't have the funding right now and we don't have the students yet, could they be integrated with something there already, so that when there are a lot of students overflowing that classroom, and when we have those money I'm dreaming about, could they be integrated?
Definitely. That's the hope, is to have our full coursework available for the students.
If they were integrated, does it have to be formally approved, or
they've already
because
been
the content?
Approved. They've been approved
already.
It's just that we don't have enough students to fill up all the seats within the classrooms.
Oh, okay, so advertisement is very important and letting people know that those are there. Very good. This is I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it again. This is another, something that we need to let the rest of the community know about so that people will know about it. If people don't know about it, not enough people know, but they won't come, right? So
Definitely.
we need to let other people know. So thank you,
Thank you.
For letting us know and inspiring students.
Any more comments? Member Wang?
I definitely supported this program and see if you want the board to support it, and definitely you got a yes from me, and I think it is very important. And just like you said, your accomplishment is not on the reports, right? It's not on somewhere, but definitely this kind of like a seeds, you plant in the hearts of the young, use the teacher, the students, and when they grow up, this definitely benefit for them. And they know who they are and where they come from, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Carl?
Yeah, I think you guys are doing excellent work. Since we were on the topic of exposing Ms. Tina Babadia Maschal's age, I can say that I've also taken one of the ethnic studies classes with her as well. So,
See, she's
thank
making
you
an
for all that
impact.
you have done, and
You
thank
have
you to all the
students.
pioneers and all the present teachers that are, continuing to model this program or this department for all the other high schools and across the nation. So, thank you for all your dedication and your work.
Well, Tina started teaching when she was 4.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that.
Well, she's only 25. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so for me, I would like to limit my comments, but I do remember when my first son entered into the high school and I was looking in the catalog and then I looked at ethnic study. I thought, wow, there is such a course here. And since then, I have been interested in taking the class myself. Just want to let you know. And thank you so much for your hard work. We appreciate that, sharing your accomplishments with us today. Thank you, thank you. So, okay, finally, we are on the agenda item number 7, public comment, hearing of visitors on topics not on agenda.
No speakers.
No speakers. Next is agenda item number 8, public comment, hearing of visitors on topics on agenda. 8.1.
We have 6 speakers. The first speaker is Michael Gardner. After Michael Gardner will be Peter Carini.
Hey everybody, first congratulations to Sarah Abjeet and Linda, congratulations, and I'm really happy about that. So I wrote it on paper this time. When I was a boy, I wanted to either be a teacher or a Supreme Court judge. As a young man, yeah. As a young man, though, I had to choose seriously between education and law. I'm sure I could have done a lot of good in the world as a lawyer or a judge, but I chose teaching because that's what made such a big difference in my life. I still remember Miss Chamberlain in 2nd grade who said I was diligent, and I didn't know what that meant, but it sounded like intelligent, but with a D, and that was like really good. Miss Kaufman, who was sure in middle school that I could write a better paper than that, and helped me do it. Mr. Cavella, who was the core of my high school career, Professor Katana at Ohlone, and Professor Bilecki at East Bay, who pushed me to do the next level. All of them created a lifestyle of lifelong growth. Now I get to do the same for so many others. But I have to say, honestly, I'm barely getting by. I have school loans, rent is ridiculous, health insurance is literally a matter of life and death. Being a teacher is slowly becoming less and less realistic. I know you recognize the seriousness of the problem and you didn't cause it and you're really being proactive about finding big solutions, and I appreciate that. But if we're going to keep and find the next generation of teachers, we need this contract is going to be a big reason why. And or I might end up leaving you to go to the Supreme Court. So, yeah.
Thank you. Next speaker is Peter Carini. After Peter Carini is Joe Angeles.
Hi, I was also a student of Tina Bobadilla. No, I'm kidding. Look, Derek's timing me for that, thanks. But, thank you. So I'm not here very often. I have 6 kids and I have a second job, and I coach Little League, so my time is really limited. My wife works 50 hours, so it's rare that I'm here because I depend on the union representatives, and I want to thank you very much for representing us over the last years. They're timing me for that. Now, but another year has gone by, and we're 2 years in a row where we're working without a contract. And it's because of a mistake that the board made last year. What was the mistake? Well, in a year that had a booming economy, in a year that the district had a $31 million surplus, in that year, we only asked for 2%. We were playing nice. The union was giving you the benefit of the doubt. And instead of taking that offer, you played hardball because the business manual says never take the first offer. So you offered only 1% increase. And you didn't do it because the district had financial problems. You did it because you took a page from The Art of the Deal, and you didn't take, yeah. Thank you for knowing that reference. But it was a mistake. Why? Because when we were told by the union in our meetings about the numbers, I don't know about other meetings, but the prevailing question our teachers had was, why are you only asking for 2%? And the result was the 3-year contract, 2%, 2%, 2%, just turned into a 1-year contract. As a result, we're here again. Had you taken that 3-year contract at 2%, we wouldn't be asking this year, and I hope we're not asking for just 2%, which means that you could have saved yourself some money if you took that offer the first time. And with the last 30 seconds that I have, I want to let you know that money is not huge for us. We get our rewards in so many different ways. At the beginning of the meeting, Brenda Moreno came up to me with a triumph that she and I have with a mutual student and a special day student. And this student is doing so much better than he was doing at the beginning of the year. And she was saying, look what we're doing, improving his writing. And she was high-fiving me, she was excited, and it was those things that reward us. So we're not asking for much. Thank you.
Next speaker is Joe Angeles. After Joe Angeles is Kate Dolorito.
Good evening, President Chima, Board Clerk Corps, board members, student reps, as well as Orlando Smith, district staff, teachers and staff in the audience, and community members as well. Again, I'm here to kind of celebrate that we're open again this conversation. I am hopeful. In our first talks, we talked about how well we can get to a different conclusion in the things that Mr. Carini just mentioned. I stand before you in a time where the conflict is there. I congratulate both President Chima as well as Member Canlis for coming back to the podium in terms of elected position in a hard time. As you know, the hardness has come to California. United Teachers Los Angeles has already have a strike sanction underway. OEA, closer to home, is in that same predicament. Not yet the strike sanction, but there. So the idea of solidarity is really something that you really need to understand how we're going to get swallowed up in the fever of that not understanding of what the task is. And I hope this conversation comes that way. You saw we presented our 4 R's to you, which we think is another theme to consider. Those 4 R's really stand for 4 different elements that really helps us understand what we want to have, which is, the first one, of course, is respect. Okay, respect, restore, replenish, for those things that we need to have happen for us. And it makes it very simple, because respect and the second, restore, just tells you what we need to do to get back to a place of understanding, because that is how we left it. It was a place of respect, and we also needed to repair that respect. And so those 2 elements right there kind of tells you that we must understand that so we can move forward. Without knowing where you're at, you cannot move forward. You can't just bypass something and think everything's as it is. Something has to change, and we're hopeful that it will. The second 2 R's, restore, replenish, you just celebrated it right now. The K-5 specialists, you celebrated their achievement. Those are teachers. The ethnic studies teachers, those are simply a cutting-edge element here that was born in New Haven. Those are the folks that those 2 words, restore and replenish, will keep New Haven on the cutting edge. So we really hope and see that we can have a different conversation like we had, because last year it wasn't a good conversation. Let's be honest about that. Something different has to be done to get to a different place. So I'm really hopeful with the return of both President Chima and member panelists to continue that conversation, and of course, hopefully change history so that we don't become another place that is just a binding place like UTLA, Los Angeles, where there's no such thing as listening. It's about will. As you know, will always has 2 pieces to the pie, and I would hate to have us to that place where it's our will against your will. It should be collaborative. So thank you again for accepting our proposal.
Next speaker is Kate Dolorito. After Kate Dolorito will be Kevin Torian.
Good evening. I don't know if many of you recognize me. My name is Kate Dolorito, and I'm a product of this district. I graduated from Bernard in 2008 and James Logan in 2012. So, hello, my former teachers. As you can see, I grow taller. But I'm not here for that. Even though I love the reunions, I'm here to talk about the importance of education, especially ethnic studies. So in my short 4 years in Logan, I had the privilege of taking 3 ethnic studies. 1 with Ms. Allen, 1 with Santos, actually 2 with Santos, and 1 with Ms. Babadia. So I took advantage of the fact that we're the only high school that has an ethnic studies department. And luckily I did, because it brought me to it gave me a bigger connection to the world around me, to the community around me. And that led me to taking ethnic studies further in my college education at Chabot, and I became a student representative there with creation of expanding the ethnic department at Chabot, as well as putting different initiatives during my time as a student representative at Chabot. Then I moved on at UCLA, and I just finished last year, 2017, and I became I took a minor in Asian American Studies, pursuing that education and deepening my connection to my community. That's what ethnic studies does. It connects you to the greater community around you. And I was able to do that by taking the trips to Delano, where the grape strike happened, and to the U.S.-Mexico border, understanding the struggles of the migrants that we hear in the news every day, making it real for us. And it's not only me that experienced these things. I have here a list of several alumni from James Logan High School who are doing great work around me, around the community, through their experience in ethnic studies at Logan. So support our teachers, support ethnic studies department, because it is changing the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Kevin Torian. After Kevin Torian will be Renee Lacerna.
Good evening, everybody. Just to start off by saying my name is Kevin Torian, and I am an alumni of James Logan High School, class of 2014, as well as a current student at San Francisco State University. Ethnic studies was the gateway in which broadened my perspective about how the world is shaped and has led me to pursue education as a career. I'm currently an Asian American Studies major on the path to becoming a teacher. Filipino Heritage Studies at James Logan introduced me to a history where important figures were marginalized throughout time, which led me to be involved with the renaming of Itliong Veracruz Middle School. It was also what led me to attend San Francisco State, as well as take classes at the College of Ethnic Studies. I was able to broaden my understanding of the Asian American experience in the U.S., along with deepening my own understanding and narrative as a Filipino American. Ethnic Studies has also empowered me to take on issues that affected my community here in the Tri-City area, which has led me to getting involved with an organization called D1 Kabataan, whose mission is to serve the needs of the Filipino youth in the Tri-City. Thank you.
I think I said, Renee, it's actually Reno Lacerna is the next speaker.
Hi everyone, my name is Reno Lacerna. I was a graduate of Logan, and I took Ivan Santos's Filipino Heritage Studies, and I was on the forensic speech and debate team here. And I think ethnic studies is very important because, you know, we have a contextual basis for the way we're living right now. And from how I grew up hating myself as a Filipino. Like, I wasn't taught Tagalog, the language of the Philippines, and I wanted to make myself look like something else, not my own race. So I learned why that is how it is in his class. And, you know, taking that class opened my eyes, and I joined an activist organization called Anak Bayan, which means Children of the Nation, and which was started in the Philippines, but it was now in the U.S. So I went on an exposure trip to the Philippines. You know, not knowing the language, I started learning the language as a completely full-on American. I started learning the language and having all these educational discussions about the political situation in the Philippines. You know, I went over to the Philippines with my exposure group, and we integrated with the farmers, with the workers, and we learned about their plight and their situation. And then we take their problems and we bring it back to the U.S. to inform our fellow Filipinos here. So I think, you know, if it wasn't for his class, I wouldn't be where I am now, and I'd probably be a little bit more lost if I'm not now. Anyways, I'm also studying to be an actor in the U.S. and in the Philippines because I really love the culture of the Philippines and the history. And that's all. Thank you.
That was the final speaker.
I think there were some more speakers.
No, there aren't any more cards anyway. That was the final card.
I remember one. Sukhmani, did you fill in the card? Yes? Where is the card then? Because she has been asking for local to come and speak. Oh. Where is your card? Where is your blue card? You should have submitted it here. Bring it here now. Bring it here.
They left.
Give it to here. Give it to Lori. Sorry about that. Since they have been waiting for so long.
Let me see. Next speaker is Gurzamrat Pinu, and then after Gurzamrat, okay, just a second, Sukhmani Kaur.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sukhmani Kaur. And since it is Sikh Awareness Month, I wanted to talk a little bit about bullying in the Sikh community and what we can do to prevent this from happening. According to our faith, our Guru tells us that we shouldn't remove our hair from any part of our body because these are living cells which the divine gives us back even after being removed. However, other kids do not understand this. Young boys are being bullied for wearing the stars or patkas, and young girls are being bullied for having facial hair or wearing the star. I remember my sister coming home from school crying. I asked her what happened. She replied, "The boys and girls keep telling me I have too much leg hair, and they make fun of me for wearing a dastar." I told her, don't listen to them because they're not your guru. This dastar is Guru's grace, and he gave us dastar because these are our crowns. It represents who we are, and he made us kings and queens. We should be proud of it. She stopped crying and she never complained about it again. I want to spread Sikh awareness because I believe that people should have the basic knowledge of what Sikhism is. I remember this boy looking at me awkwardly. He approached me and asked me, "Do you shave?" I told him, "And why is that any of your concern?" He walked away. As you could see, I was able to handle the situation pretty well because I am proud of who I am. However, what about those people who can't handle these similar situations? This can bring people down and bring people lack of self-esteem and self-confidence. It can break them. My best friend, for example, I remember she used to wear a rumal to school every day. And suddenly she stopped. I asked her, why did he stop wearing a rumal? I remember that she didn't feel confident wearing a rumal. I told her not to listen to them. Sikhs are being judged because we are quote unquote different. However, we aren't. We are still human, and we are being judged because we have a unique religion. That's it. Our Guru wants us to keep our body as organic as possible. We have 3 golden rules we are taught to follow. Kirt karo, work hard with honest means. Vand ke chako, always share. And naam japo, say God's name. Kids should have the basic knowledge of what Sikhism is. So next time they see a Sikh, they don't judge them for their facial hair, dastar, body hair, etc. Thank you.
Sukhmani. Can you guys tell us who you are?
My name is Sukhmani Kaur. I go to James Logan High School, and I'm a sophomore.
The next speaker is Gurzamrat Panu.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Gursimrat Kaur, and I'm here to talk a little bit about Sikh Awareness Month and the importance of Sikhi. I feel that there is a lot of peer pressure and bullying. I also believe it is very important to stay close to our roots. One time I went to a camp that was held in Lake Tahoe. I remember sitting in a circle with other girls, and an auntie Ji was telling us a story about how she used to get bullied and teased for body hair. She said, I went to Guru Sahib and talked to him. Then I realized that my arm hair actually looks like tiger stripes. The next day, when the kids teased me, she said thanks, and they were confused. Auntie Ji also said, you have freckles on your face, as a comeback. I laughed a little. She said to always trust Guru Sahib. The important message to take away from this is that it doesn't matter what other people think. The only person you should worry about is Guru Sahib. Whenever you are having a bad day or going through a hard time, always remember Guru Sahib. Sometimes even I feel a little insecure. But I always stay strong because, again, I could care less what other people think. Guru Sahib made us perfect just the way we are. As long as we have faith in Guru Sahib, we will be fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Final speaker is Jaspriya Kaur.
Jasprit. Please remember to introduce yourself.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jasprit Kaur, and I'm a sophomore at James Logan High School. First of all, I would like to appreciate our school districts for celebrating November as Sikh Awareness Month. I'm grateful to have this opportunity to stand here and read this resolution to you guys. Whereas Sikhism is a monotheistic faith founded by Guru Nanak in the historic Punjab region known as modern-day India and Pakistan over 5 centuries ago. And whereas Sikhism is the 5th largest religion in the world, today there are more than 25 million Sikhs worldwide, with an estimate of 700,000 Sikhs living in the United States. And whereas SICKI first entered California in 1899 through the Angel Island Immigration Station in San Francisco, California. And whereas Sikh Americans had made important contributions to the social, economic, political, and cultural fabric of Union City, California, and the United States of America. And whereas Sikh Americans have served in the United States military during both World Wars and through all subsequent wars until the present day. And whereas Sikh pioneers initially worked on railroad projects and lumber mills in the 1910 turned to farming in Sacramento, San Joaquin, and Imperial Valleys, and whereas Sikhs and Sikh Americans now have also excelled as doctors, attorneys, engineers, scientists, judges, politicians, artists, teachers, and small business owners. In security services and in transportational services and in other notable capacities. Whereas on October 14, 1912, the first Sikh house of worship, Gurdwara in the United States, was founded in Stockton, which has designated a California historical landmark. And whereas there are over 200 Gurdwaras in the United States, of which there are 32 known Gurdwaras in California, including the Gurdwara Sahib of Fremont and San Jose, two of the largest Gurdwaras in North America. And whereas worldwide, Sikhs practice the three pillars of Sikhism every day. Kit karo, earn an honest living. Nam japo, meditate on one God. And Vanshako, share and support others in need. And whereas Sikh Americans in Alameda County are the largest donors of the Alameda County Food Bank. And whereas the faithful services of the Sikh American community to the city, state, and country appreciate as an integral thread in the fabric of American plurality. It be resolved, today in the New Haven Unified School District seeks to recognize the diversity of its community and afford all residents an opportunity to better understand, recognize, and appreciate the rich history and shared experiences of Sikh Americans. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Haven Unified School District recognizes November 2018 as Sikh American Awareness and Appreciation Month.
Thank you, Jaspreet, for reading the resolution, so we don't have to do it again when we are passing the comments. And thank you, Sukhmani and Gursimrat, for coming out and sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, the next board agenda item is
Number 9.
action item board agenda item number 9. Action item is consideration of the exploration and feasibility of a bond measure to fund employee housing and address other facilities needs for the New Haven Unified School District. Annette Hellman.
Good evening once again. So this item, well, let me back up. Last month, we had a board study session at the request of the board to be able to ask deeper questions with regards to employee housing and the possibility of the district to embark in that project. The item before you is actually the very, very first step that the district must take before we can even move to that direction. And this item is simply authorizing staff to be able to continue on a survey, which is, like I said, is tantamount to this particular process that we are about to embark on. Part of the presentation that you heard were from our financial advisors, and they presented different options in terms of how to finance something like this, as well as a representative from 3D Strategies in terms of the logistical information with regards to actually building an employee housing. So this is an action item waiting for your approval so that we can move on to the next step.
Any questions or comments from the board members?
As a discussion point, I'm in support of this, but I will be abstaining tonight due to the disclosure that I'd mentioned until we get further advice from legal counsel.
Okay,
I'll be mentioning that when I.
right. Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, may I have a motion and a second to authorize ISOM advisors to conduct a survey and explore the feasibility of a local school improvement measure to determine community support for a bond measure for employee housing and other facilities needs.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Abstain.
Aye.
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 Aye. Moving on to the consent agenda items and actions. I just want to have, is there any questions, clarifications, or items that you would like to be pulled for separate vote?
I'd like to pull 10.2 for discussion. Minutes.
10 point. Okay. Any other?
Are you done? Just comments for 10.13, 10.23, 10.7, and 10.9.
Okay. Member Wang?
No. Yeah.
Member
We're fine.
I had all my questions answered prior, but I do have an unrelated comment. I guess combining the ethnic study class and actually what we just heard. So maybe if I can just pull 10.7 and just make my comment then?
Okay, because 10.7 is already there, so.
Yes.
Okay, now I have nothing to be pulled, so let's start with 10.2 then.
Yeah, so one of the things that was omitted from the minutes from the special session was the fact that I disclosed that I own investment property close to the subject site. I just wanted that on record, that I had disclosed that. That's all I wanted to do.
Can you please modify and still be on the agenda, they can modify
fine.
this.
Yeah.
Thank you. 10.7, Linda?
Yeah, 10.7 is a resolution on Sikh awareness. Thank you for putting that there and informing us and educating us about Sikhism. And a lot of the things that are in this resolution has already been shared. I was looking forward to hearing you and Ms. Kaur reading the, but it's okay. We read it already, but
Yeah.
thank you. The other question related to that is the curriculum question. What we have in ethnic study, we have the ones that were mentioned already. I wonder if there has been a thought about having something similar to inform. I'm just wondering, something to think about. For 10.9,
Hold on.
Oh.
I think you had something
Yeah,
to
so
Oh, go
I
ahead.
think you kind of stole words right out of my mouth.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's
I read
fine.
your head.
Yeah. Well, I think I didn't really think through, I didn't think about this until we had the whole presentation on ethnic studies and the importance of, students really understanding their heritage and really feeling that they belong where they do. And yes, you cannot measure that, and I think it kind of shows in our personalities, down the line. And I think a few of our students spoke about, Sikhism and the bullying that a lot of our students experience, and that's nothing new. Having gone through the district myself, I have experienced it. Having siblings gone through this district, they have experienced it. Not just this district, I think across the board in many schools. So when I was listening to the ethnic studies, we have 15 courses in this department and there's 5 pending. Have we considered maybe adding another one? Maybe not particularly just for Sikh studies, but something along the line, because we are such a different religion. There is a lot of misconception about who Sikhs are. There is a lot of misconception or misrepresentation of the Sikhs. So again, the reason why we have these studies or these ethnic studies or these different cultural exposures is really to bring awareness about who we are as community. So, and I think as Linda Canlis had alluded to, I think I would want to see if there could be some courses, either in Asian American studies could be incorporated into that, or whichever other studies that we incorporate. It doesn't have to be a standalone, but something to consider including. And again, it's nothing new, and it's I think SEEKs compile I don't know what the exact percentage is because we don't have a percentage in the census. We're not counted in the census. And it's a large number. All I know is it's a large number. It's probably one of the largest Sikh population in high school level across all of California, if not the United States. So I think it's something really to consider.
Can I just say that we held our first conversation today about a social justice academy. And there's Ethnic Studies Department and ICL who have different approaches to different positions as to how they think this ought to move forward. But this topic is included in that conversation, so we'll leave it at that. But whether we introduce a new course or whether we incorporate it into an existing course, this topic is on the table.
I just want to continue to add in that I've been bugging Dr. Smith about this for a while now, so it's not a new conversation. But I was just thinking, I think part of the 10th grade curriculum includes the study of Sikhism. So it's nothing new. It's just a matter of putting it out on the table and probably integrate it to what's already happening to start with. Even in some of the ones that are there already, it could be easily integrated as part of the Asian studies, for example. So just putting it on the table again. So this is not the first time Dr. Smith heard about it because I've been kind of bugging him about this for a while now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And the curriculum is already available. It's only the just integration of the curriculum wherever it fits in that study class. So we will see if there is so much enrollment into or there is a demand to sign up for that course. But for now, I think we're happy if we can include into the journal somewhere in the Asian Studies journal course. Yeah. Thank you, thank you. Agenda item number, consent agenda item number 9, 10.9.
Yes, that's the resolution on getting full and fair funding resolution from the state of California. First of all, thank you for listening and allowing us to put this on the agenda. Again, we've been bugging about this one. As we know, we have funds that are allocated to us by the state, and it seems like every single time we fight over those funds because they don't give us enough. So the resolution right now is asking the state of California to provide us fair, full funding for our schools. So thank you for doing that, and hopefully our project where we ask for this full fair funding will happen soon. And I'm still waiting for people to help me calendar this project, which include Mr. Angelis, and meeting and making sure we make that project happen, the coalition happen to go to Sacramento. So thank you for putting that on the agenda. And then anything else for 10.9?
Anybody else on 9? No? Okay, 10.13.
10.13, I've already started saying something about this during the information items. Again, that's the site plan, and I just want to put on record to thank you again for doing such a great job this time, because as you know, this is the Bible that drives what we do throughout the year. And I know the principals worked hard on this because I know what it's like to be writing these with your school site council and everybody else who is involved. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of coordination and looking ahead so that and looking at the money you have and the programs you want happen so that you do the right thing for the students. So thank you for doing all that. I cannot say it enough. And a good luck on percentage on increases from 5% to 20%. Maybe we will exceed them. I'm looking forward to seeing the results of this year's work. Anything else for that before I move on?
No.
Okay. 10.23, this is the estimation on the two bidders. Ratification agreement for, oh no, that's not it. Where is the one where we had two bidders? It's not 23.
That's it, 10.23.
Is it? Okay. There's a huge gap between the two. Why is that?
I sent that information out this afternoon.
Oh, I did not see it then.
Because remember, Carr had the same
Question.
Oh, okay, I did not see that one then, I'm sorry.
So, but in the answer, it was not clear. If we have, Anat, if you can please share it with us, that why there is so much difference and which way we are leaning towards providing this bid if we are going to approve this.
We had the same exact question that you're asking us now. So those came, and as I've said in the BC, the chasm is so huge, we've never seen anything like that before. It's one of those potentially that sometimes contractors just have so much to do or didn't really, I mean, the scope that was provided is the same across the board. At the end of the day, when we get those, we will question it. I mean, there are certain expertise that we have in-house and some expertise that we don't. But this happens to be that we can simply base it on past projects and by just visibly looking at these things. So I think at this point I'm standing here assuring you that it actually is the lower number, not the bigger number.
So, having some experience in the construction and as being civil engineer, I just want to let you know that my fellow board members also, some contractors, they bid lower on purpose so that they can get the bid and later on they will keep on adding the items, change orders, and it will be actually more expensive than the first bidder who was the responsible bidder. So I just want you guys to be, make sure that it does not happen that way.
That's a very valid point, and I would be the last person who would want to stand here before you with change orders upon change orders. So yes, those were the same questions we asked them to
Because
confirm.
sometimes, because of there is such a big difference, it's called bid rigging actually. There is a term for that.
No, you're right. I mean, that does happen. And especially we're limited by public contract code in terms of a change order. I mean, we did look at that and say, wait a minute, are you sure? So.
Well, that was my next question. There is a code where they cannot change it after a certain percentage, right?
Correct.
So with the gap of about $70,000, $70,000, that passes that benchmark. So
it isn't so much that you can't go over that threshold. There are certain situations where it actually warrants that, because until you open a wall, you don't know what's behind that wall.
True.
But this is not that case. I mean, that public contract code is put to avoid those things that were described earlier, but I cannot fully say that there are projects that it is what it is. I mean, there are things that, like I said, especially when you're dealing with 50-year-old buildings, it's like remodeling a home. You don't know what's behind it. But in this particular case, that is not what we're dealing with.
Okay. So we are taking your word.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, okay. May I have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items 10.1 through 10.27?
With amendment.
With the amendment for
minutes.
the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. With no further business, this meeting is adjourned.